Hey, the year is coming to a close and I wanted to share with you my 10 favorite albums of 2025. Just a couple little points before I start. First of all, this is obviously all my opinion, very subjective. 2, I also didn't get around to listening to all the albums that I wanted to listen to this year. So these are my favorites out of the ones that I listened to. And 3, there were lots of other albums that I listened to and enjoyed this year. These are just my top 10 favorites. Okay, let's get through the list. My 10th favorite album of the year was Earl Sweatshirt's Live, Laugh, Love. This album sees Earl doing a lot of what we already knew he does best, forming these incredible song landscapes with his lyricism, very word-driven, very wordy songs, which are interesting to listen to because you're trying to dive into every topic that he's touching on. There's so many. He has a really fascinating way of constructing the sentences within his verses. I really like the production throughout this project as well. I think some of Earl's happiest sounding songs in a while come through in this album, and it also just sounds very mature lyrically and musically. I think essentially it's just another great release from one of the best poets in rap for the past however many years, which is Earl. If you like the way his music is, no doubt you're going to enjoy this album as well. If you're not a fan of it, you probably won't enjoy it. It's very much in that same line of very abstract, very experimental, but fascinating and interesting and poetic rap. So if you're a fan of that, definitely check it out. Okay, at number 9, I have Lucy Dacus' Forever Is a Feeling. Lucy Dacus is delivering a wonderful project, a lot about love and infatuation. The songwriting on display is so infectiously warm and affectionate. There's some beautiful arrangements, some really wonderful lyrics as well, which are at times relatable, at times funny, at times a little bit tragic. I've enjoyed listening to it throughout the year. I think it's such a good release. And I have to say, her vocals are so beautiful. They have such a nice range, and it really adds a lot of emotion to everything she's singing. At number 8, it feels wrong to have this album at number 8 because it's such a great release, but I guess it just goes to show how many great albums there were this year. But I have Rosalia with Lux. So a few years ago, Motomami was my favorite album of that year. I think it was 2022. Lots of songs to dance to, really heavy beats, interesting production. And so I didn't really know what to expect when I was going into Lux. All I knew is that I had loved Motomami. I thought maybe it would be slightly similar, and I was completely wrong. This is essentially a modern opera album from Rosalia. It is so beautiful to hear someone really explore the entire range of their vocals the way she does in this project. It mixes those really traditional sounds that you get in opera with some really bold experimental choices in the production, in the song structures. I think this is an album that you need to listen to with attention, and you really need to dig into. It's not an easy listen, but it's such a rewarding experience. You get so much in return. You get this huge, fascinating clash of different musical cultures and musical genres, all brought together with so much tact and so much purpose by one of the great voices in pop at the moment and for the past few years. On to number 7, it's Clips with Let God Sort Him Out. This is one of the most impressive comeback albums I've ever heard. Clips really proving why they're one of the most respected and celebrated rap groups of all time. Their chemistry, the way their verses bounce off one another, is so fun to listen to throughout this album. I also have to say I really like the production in this album, but I really think the highlight is the rapping. If you enjoy rap, there is no better spot to listen to it than this project. It's full of brilliant flows, brilliant lyricism, brilliant rhyming schemes. It's just two rappers at the absolute top of their game who know how good they are, and they're demonstrating that with a really consistent and addictive project, which I've gone back to numerous times over the year. Okay, at number 6, I have Milo J, I think that's how you say it, with La Vida Era Más Corta. Now, I'm going to be completely honest, I was not familiar with this musician before this year. His name just came up when I was looking through new releases earlier this year, and I was completely blown away. So what Milo J is essentially doing in this project is mixing big popular genres such as pop, rap, R&B, with traditional folk music sounds from his native Argentina. It's this strange and crazy blend which weirdly works throughout the album. Obviously, it's helped by the fact that this album is produced incredibly well. His vocals are beautiful. There is so much raw emotion oozing from every song, and you can hear how much Milo J cares about each of these genres and sounds that he's incorporating into his work. It's one of the most exciting projects I've heard this year, and really embracing a lot of the clashes and mixes of culture and generations which make a lot of the pop music coming out nowadays so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna kick off the top 5 now with Jane Remover's Revenge Seekers. This album is, for lack of a better expression, a lot. It's definitely a lot. It's a lot to handle. It's kind of sort of modern maximalist noise madness times 1,000 to the extreme. Is that a good way of describing it? If you've listened to the album, you know exactly what I mean. What Jane Remover is doing here is really pushing the absolute limits of how strange and abrasive and glitched out and distorted and overloading with information pop music can be. It's a real reflection of the possibilities of music in the digital age. There's a million musical elements going on at once, all the time throughout every song. Some of them almost sound dissonant, like they're clashing, but in a way it works. There's that structure of the pop song, the recognizable hooks and melodies throughout. They're just covered in a layer of insanity, which is really, really fun to listen to. It's 100% a barrage for the senses. It's a wall of sound, but it's a beautiful and rich, textured, layered wall of sound, which I think you can get a lot of enjoyment out of, and I have numerous times throughout the year. Okay, from something very aggressive to something very peaceful. My number 4 entry is OK Lou with Choke Enough. This is a form of hyperpop. It's definitely in that same family, but it's done in a way that I've never heard before. It's ambient, it's meditative, that's a hard word to say, it's contemplative. It's interesting because it feels like you're mixing the most modern of hyperpop sounds with some sounds that are very rooted in deep tradition of folk music, maybe even pagan music. I don't know, there's these beautiful flute sections. It's all very hypnotic and entrancing. The melodies really take you to a faraway place. Lots of reverb throughout the project. I was completely mesmerized by this album throughout the year. I see these songs as these sort of paintings with really interesting colors and no lines at all, no straight lines, just curves, everything blending into everything else. It's very fluid, but it's also very exciting because, like I said, it's pushing forward with some really forward-thinking production choices and layering, etc. Just also bringing back to some really old and almost ancient-sounding melodic passages. I can't explain it, but I was completely fascinated by this project this year, and it's my number 4 pick. Okay, top 3. My third favorite album of the year is Jim Legacy's Black British Music 2025. This album is amazing. I don't know how many good things I can say about this album. I've said them to my friends so many times, they're probably tired of hearing me talk about it. I feel so excited about Jim Legacy's trajectory now as an artist after having listened to this project. This is a beautiful piece of art that he's put out. It is a mash of different genres and influences and production styles all in one. There's so much heart in each one of these songs. That's something I want to highlight about this project, is how much personality comes through in each of these tracks. If this project was just commendable for its incredible production, that would be one thing. But what we are also seeing is a really exciting voice in UK rap come up and become more popular. Jim Legacy's lyrics and delivery and flows and melodies throughout this album are so captivating. He has so much charisma, so much personality, and he manages to make some sections which are fun and catchy and sometimes almost humorous, and some sections which are really powerful and moving, and he blends them into a really neat package where they kind of blend into one and it goes from one to the other. It's so good. I am so impressed with this project, and I urge you to listen to it if you haven't already. So I've been talking a lot in this video about artists blending different genres together in an interesting way, and that's very much the case also with number 2 on the list, which I think is the best example of this being done in 2025, and that's Bad Bunny with Debí Tirar Más Fotos. What a powerhouse release. This album is a statement. This album is an absolute statement. It's such an important release, and I already liked Bad Bunny in the past, but hearing this project numerous times throughout the year, I'm convinced that he is one of the most important voices that we have in pop music. He used this album to really explore and broaden his horizons and incorporate elements of all sorts of different genres in Latin American music and give a platform to these fascinating forms of songwriting and composition, and they all blend into one another. I'm saying blend again, I'm repeating that word a lot, but this album specifically, it's so fascinating how he manages to switch from one to the next within the same song, within the same minute, and he does it in a really smart way where it doesn't feel like it's just a clash. Here's one, here's the other, black and white. They really meet in this sort of gray zone where it's brought together in a very modern and forward-thinking and idiosyncratic sort of fusion where it's very personal to him. But not only is this album incredible musically in the production, and it is, and in the way that he's delivering these performances with so much strength and so much attitude and so much personality, but this album is also incredible in its lyrical content. And again, we're seeing a lot of this embrace of Latin American culture and pride coming through with each song. I think it's a statement of the kind of artist that he is, and that he's not afraid to make bold choices and to go against the grain and do something that you wouldn't expect. This is such an important record. I think it's going to be a timeless release. In however many years from now, they'll look back on it and speak about it, because I really think it's that impactful. So that is my second favorite album of the year. Okay, and finally, my number one favorite album of 2025. If you know me, probably not surprising, this is my favorite musician of all time. It's Bon Iver with Sable Fable. Now, just because Bon Iver is my favorite musician of all time doesn't mean I'm automatically obliged to love everything he puts out, and I haven't loved everything he's put out. But the fact is, I do absolutely love this album, and I think it's one of his strongest. In this album, we get so many of the things that make us fans of Bon Iver's music. In that first little section, the Sable EP, we get some crushingly beautiful and very, very melancholic songs, which kind of take us back to that sound we used to get more in the Forever days of Bon Iver's career. These are some of his strongest songs ever in that vein of more traditional acoustic folk. His vocal performance is so haunting in these tracks. And then we move on to a new section of the album, which is full of life and bursting with joy and uncontained emotions, which are so beautiful to witness. The production is warm and lush and vibrant, and it complements beautifully the atmosphere that each song creates. And I think we get some career best songwriting from Bon Iver in this project. Very honest, very introspective, wearing the heart on the sleeve. It's a really emotional, moving listen, which a lot of Bon Iver's music is. Again, complemented by great production, great vocal performances, great lyricism, great arrangements, great just songs in general. And I have to state that Things Behind Things Behind Things is one of the greatest Bon Iver songs of all time. It might be one of the greatest songs of all time. That is one of the most incredibly beautiful and crushing, devastating, heartbreaking songs I've ever heard. But it's, again, a testament to what an incredible songwriter Justin Vernon is. So there you go, guys. Those are my 10 favorite albums of 2025. What did you think of this list? Did you like these albums? What other albums did you like that I should listen to? Let me know, and I'll see you on the next one.